Who are the good guys in the GameStop rebellion? Could it be the retail investor, the little guy who just wants to safely store their money, maybe get a small return, fight inflation, and prepare for their future? Or is the multi-billion-dollar hedge funds, which have allies in media pumping out stories to trick you into losing your money, say by telling you to buy in an asset that will drive up the value, then they can sell out their massive positions, leaving you holding an empty bag? I wonder who the good guys really are. Well, fear not. The wonderful journalists at the Washington Post are telling us exactly who the good guys are. And it ain't you, Rabble. The good guys in the GameStop story, it's the hedge funds and the short sellers, of course. My favorite part of this is that they cite The Big Short, that movie about the guys who shorted the mortgage-backed securities. And he says, they're folk heroes. They're folk heroes. Yes, listen, sometimes there are bad people. This is what's happening now at the GameStop rebellion is calling out the bad people, the corruption, the cronies, the establishment. My friends, I want to read you what they say. I want to push back. But let me tell you something. Go to Reddit, r/all. And what do you see? r/all. Number 2, it's effing awful seeing the silver misinformation campaign everywhere I look. And that's not Wall Street Bets. That's r/stocks. Number 1 is do not sell GameStop at low volume dips. This is a short ladder attack, which doesn't actually accomplish anything as long as you don't sell. It's not just Wall Street Bets anymore. The actual just stock subreddit is saying this is misinformation. Misinformation telling everybody to buy stock. Look at this. Don't buy silver. It's a trap. If you followed my previous segment, you saw me talk a bit about it. But basically right now, almost every news outlet has a story claiming that Reddit is telling investors to buy silver. But plain as day, they're lying to our faces. Like I said in that segment, the veil has been shattered. We can see through it. Share this. This right here. Go to reddit.com r/all. All means every single post on the entire massive website. And Reddit is one of the biggest websites in the world. How does Reddit work? For those that aren't familiar, when you see a link, you can click upvote or downvote. Posts that get upvoted more are supported and appear more prominently on the website. And things that are downvoted eventually disappear and no one sees them. Right now, the top 2 posts on the entire platform of Reddit are telling you not to sell GameStop and not to buy silver. So how is it that all of the media is claiming at the exact same time? It's simple. They hate you. You are the rabble. Listen, the way they rationalize it, it's better to get $1 from a million people than $1 million from one person. Having one person assume $1 million risk is bad, but having a million people assume a $1 risk is not that bad. So they can strip your money away and trick you into buying garbage, and they're the good guys. Trust the media, they say. Don't listen to the fake news. Here's the story. It's an opinion piece from the Washington Post. I love how this is framed. My friends, you're not the bad guys. We are not the bad guys. Wanting to buy a stock in a company because you know it's putting the heat on these hedge funds who strip and rip off regular people does not make you the bad guy. And simply buying stock for whatever reason does not make you the bad guy. They're trying to make it seem like, in fact, there are good guys and bad guys. But let me just tell you, the good guys in the story, you placed a bet. The hedge funds, you placed a bet. And that bet was called, and now you're sad, and now your allies are doing everything to cover it up for you and make sure you can get some of that value back. And there are people pushing the silver thing against the wishes of what the Redditors are actually calling for. Now, I want to stress another point. It ain't bad having silver, okay? I have silver. I don't have a lot. I'm not big on investing that kind of stuff. I like investing in myself. I like investing in fun things and projects and, the company and, what I'm doing because it's life. It's what I do. It's what I live. I don't care if I have a bunch of shiny rocks in a box somewhere. But I do have some silver. It's not a bad investment, in my opinion. The bad investment comes when they tell you, trick you into buying silver at a high price. It's topping $30 right now for silver. Many people, and probably rightly so, are saying it should be higher. But right now, in my opinion, Based on what I've read, the goal is just to get you to dump as much money as possible into silver, to jack up the price, because these hedge funds and these firms own so much of it, they'll cut a massive profit selling it. And then when silver goes back down, they'll buy it back up for pennies on the dollar and use your money to cover their losses in the GameStop rebellion. Here's what the Washington Post op-ed says. Sebastian Maliby is the Paul A. Volcker Senior Fellow for International Economics at the Council on Foreign Relations and a contributing columnist for the Post. He is the author of More Money Than God, Hedge Funds and the Making of a New Elite. He said, until last week, the quintessentially absurd bubble was the Dutch tulip mania. At least the South Sea bubble of the 18th century involved fraud. Investors thought they were buying shares in a valuable company. At least the dot-com bubble of 1999 involved technological promise. Investors thought the internet would transform business even faster than it has. But in Holland in the 17th century, investors bid the price of simple tulip bulbs up to ridiculous heights. It was the purest of idiotic fantasies. Last week, a similar fantasy reared its head. The idea that GameStop, an ailing retailer whose shares had slumped from $57 to $4 since 2013, should suddenly trade at $350. The speculators driving this 8,750% reevaluation have no evidence that this makes sense. Indeed, they disdain evidence. GameStop's price-to-earnings ratio is infinite. Because the company earns nothing, its prospects are grim. Because it's mainly a brick-and-mortar vendor of video games, a product best sold digitally. But the speculators don't care, they believe. And the force of their belief has been contagious and self-fulfilling. Lies, and slander. Or someone who just doesn't understand it. First and foremost, a lot of the people investing are doing so because they're sticking it to you, bro. They know that you have put yourselves in a bind. You placed a bet. Well, not this guy specifically, but the hedge funds placed a bet that GameStop would fall. And they said, all we got to do is buy it and it'll go up. So they did. And now it's going up. What we're seeing now is what the Wall Street bets crew calls a short ladder attack. I believe it's a ladder attack. What's happening is the hedge funds, and this is what they're claiming. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm probably getting a lot of this wrong. I'm basically reading what they're saying and then relaying it and giving my thoughts on the matter. So probably don't take any of this as financial advice. What they're saying is the hedge funds are trading between each other the finite shares they have to drive the price down, tricking algorithms into thinking it's worth less. The problem is no one's really selling. See, that's the trick. Volume is really low. All of the Redditors have bought it and they're just sitting on it. You know, they're trying to cause a panic because they're betting that there are people who bought the shares who don't care about the cause or the company and want to get rich quick. So they're pumping silver and they're pumping Dogecoin, the cryptocurrency. Now, the Dogecoin thing is definitely like the tulip bulb. There's no upside to Dogecoin other than a game of hot potato where you're hoping that when the song ends, you're not the one left holding the bag. I already know a lot of people who lost a lot of money on Doge because it was a stupid investment in the first place. Look, forgive me. I think it's hilarious. I have Doge somewhere on an old computer sitting in a garage or something. I don't know or care. If Doge goes up, nothing happens. It's cool to see crypto, getting more legitimacy and making more money and inspiring people to invest in it. But Doge doesn't do anything other than a massive, cryptocurrency made as a joke. Bitcoin makes sense. I guess you can buy Doge if you want, sure. But buying GameStop actually does have a purpose. You see, what this guy's wrong about. Let me read a little bit more so I can explain to you why he's wrong about who the good guys are. He says, this is not the worst of it. Financial markets are usually stabilized by rational investors. If the crazies drive stocks to an absurd height, thoughtful people take the other side of the trade until prices reconnect with reality. The correction can be late and messy. It's hard to be thoughtful when markets are wild, but at least our culture generally applauds the partisans of rationality. After the subprime bubble popped, this is the 2008 crisis, the plucky minority that called out the excess became minor folk heroes. There was even a movie about them. Oh, the folk heroes who were saying that you are ripping people off. What they realized with the subprime mortgage crisis, go watch The Big Short. I'm not going to pretend like it's history. It's a movie. But if there's parallels to reality, the general idea was people were giving mortgages to people who could not afford it because they didn't care. They were then lumping bad mortgages in with good mortgages to make a crummy security look good. These guys knew it was a scam, and so they shorted it because it was a scam. Now, what's going on now? GameStop was deflated. This is what Wall Street Bets has said, and I'm giving you the gist of it. GameStop should have been trading at around $16 or even $60 because their quarterly revenue was down. But the way the video game console market works is that when new games come out around Christmas and new consoles, revenue skyrockets. They saw that it was trading really low. And this one dude put out a message saying this should be way higher. They're shorting it. You see, what they're accusing the hedge funds of doing is saying it's a good story. Story, that's what sells. GameStop is a brick and mortar video game shop. As he says, video games sell better online. I don't like buying physical copies. I download my video games. I ordered my console off the internet. I didn't go to GameStop, but I do go to GameStop fairly often. This is true before COVID, especially because I don't know what to look for. And I like going to the shop and I like seeing what they have. And sometimes I buy knickknacks. It doesn't mean GameStop should be $350, mind you, but just hold on a second. GameStop should have been higher. That's what Wall Street Bets was saying. They saw that it was being shorted and assumed, and I believe correctly so, that the price was artificially low because of short sellers. So they started buying it up. The one dude, Deep Effing Value, I think it was him, was adamant. This should be worth more. It's a short. It's going to be worth more because when the consoles come out, come Christmas, it's going to go up. And people were mocking him. They were like, good luck. You're going to lose everything. Now he's worth tens of millions of dollars. You see, that's the trick. Short sellers aren't always good guys or bad guys. In the Big Short, these guys were like, this is a scam. Let's take them for all they're worth. And they made money betting against it. And it was a great movie. No one believed them. No one wanted to accept that the fake reality they were living in was that the subprime mortgage crisis was going to explode. Subprime mortgage loans would become a crisis, a blow up in their face. Now we're seeing short sellers hurting a company, manipulating you because you don't understand how it works. Again, not necessarily me either. I'm not a financial advisor. When I read the explanation for why GameStop should be higher, why AMC should be higher, why Nokia should be higher, I was like, those are good points. I bought Nokia. Why? I'm not big on GameStop. I don't know much about how how their business works. I get it. It's a game store. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not big on AMC because I don't know a lot about the movie industry in that capacity. Nokia, I like Nokia. I genuinely do. I've always liked Nokia especially because the meme about, stopping bullets and stuff. And they have, it's funny, indestructible phones. But what I saw in Nokia was a long-standing company with some positive reports. And I thought it would be nice to buy. That's about it. And it went down and I ended up losing some money and I'm not, whatever, I don't care. I wanted to buy. I was pissed when Rabble froze my ability to buy into it because I liked the phone company. Now, apparently there's some good reporting on it, but I digress. They're manipulating these companies because they want you to think they're failures. Sometimes they are failures. Sometimes they aren't. What I don't like is the media manipulation. And that's where I come in. This diagram comes in, this Venn diagram with Wall Street Bets and me. I see Wall Street Bets telling you what they believe. I don't know if they're right, but look at this. They are saying, do not sell GameStop. Do not buy silver. And I say, okay, guys, I've heard your thoughts and opinions. I actually think silver is pretty good. Probably not a good time to buy. I don't know. Don't take my advice. Then I see the media lying about everything, and it infuriates me. Then I see them claim the good guys are the manipulators. Almost got me swearing. No, they aren't. The liars and the thieves and the deceivers are not the good guys. We work hard. You work hard. And what do? Trick us into taking our money from us. I had a conversation with some Trump bros. It was at a party. It was Mike Cernovich's party in D.C. He was a big Trump. He was a big Trump supporter. And I was talking to these guys about how I'm fairly lefty, and especially on regulation and stuff. I don't believe that you should be able to use physical or coercive force to take things from people. And we got into an argument. They said, well, what do you mean coercive force? And I said, blackmail. Oh, we agree. Blackmail's wrong. And I was like, and manipulation. They're like, whoa, manipulation? Yeah, like tricking someone. Hey, man. And they basically said, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. And I said, no, I disagree. I do not agree that we should live in such a way that people who don't understand something should have their value stripped from them. A guy who works and breaks his back lifting stones to, in a quarry or whatever, well, they use machines now, or lifting beams to help build a skyscraper every day. then being tricked into giving up his value to these hedge funds who lie to him, and because he doesn't understand how this works, I'm not okay with that. Well, these guys disagreed with me, and I said, so you think the media should be allowed to lie to people so that they give up their resources? And they were like, no, that's bad. And I'm like, exactly. This is what we get. The Washington Post, the good guys are the hedge funds. Give us your value, pleb. Nah, I'm not okay with that. I like the story of real capitalism, not socialism, real capitalism. A guy builds a birdhouse. It takes him a bunch of time. He chops the wood, he cuts it up, and then he sells that, and then he gets extra money to make another birdhouse and a little bit on the top so he can pay for his medical bills and his food. Then one day he comes along and he decides to make a machine that can mass produce birdhouses, and his invention is so popular he becomes a millionaire, gets a big old boat, and travels around the world doing nothing for the rest of his life. Capitalism. What we have now is cronyism. The power held by the establishment elites is wielded against you and me and everybody else. Sometimes people can break through. Sometimes people find a way to become wealthy because real capitalism still grasping for air in this decaying, corrupt system. But socialism is not the answer, especially. I know a lot of leftists think that what we're looking at now is unrepentant capitalism. No, it's corruption. It's not capitalism or socialism. It's corruption. He goes on to say, GameStop speculators are not merely in a frenzy about one stock. Their goal is to destroy the traders who link stock prices to fair value. To suggest a political analogy, they are not just blindly devoted to their candidate. They deny the legitimacy of the opposition party. They are not just acting within the system. They want to overthrow the system. It's as though, just imagine, a rabble gripped by conspiracy theories were to attack the rules of democracy itself. The name GameStop is apt. Disgusting. Disgusting. Today, I see Trump supporters and progressive leftists united. Actually, every political spectrum, like authoritarians, libertarians, whatever, everyone's laughing. And the establishment cronies are going, no, my stocks. Oh, no, my money. Look what he just said. This article tries to tell you that what we're seeing with these GameStop speculators, these people buying stock, he's likening it to the storming of the Capitol. They're a rabble. Really? I use rabble facetiously, mocking the rich. He actually called you the rabble. I love it. The rabble. Amazing. That's what they think of you. You're too stupid to know what's good for you. So shut your mouth and let us take from you so that we, the noble elites, can tell you what for. No. Respect is earned, not given. And this is a country that's supposed to be of, by, and for the people, the consent of the governed. But for too long, these people have figured out that it's not just about politics, it's not just about money, it's about all of it. And media, it's all of it. It's the establishment. It's the machine that controls us, pits us against each other. What's truly remarkable is, somebody posted this tweet from Zach Goldberg, a journalist, where we saw just after Occupy Wall Street, racism, inclusivity, privilege began skyrocketing at the New York Times and many other news outlets. Because when they realized that the people were united in class war, the easiest way to disrupt it was to make it an identity war, something we've long talked about in the IRL podcast. They want you fighting against everyone else. This is why I despise critical race theory. It's a shame that many people on the left are wrapped up in it, and they blame capitalism. Listen, let's not talk capitalism or socialism or critical race theory. Let's talk right now about corrupt elites who are stealing from the working class. We don't have to agree on our economic ideology or race theory, but can we all agree there is still a class component here? It's a class war, and it's been. Now, there are a lot of wealthy people that have no problem calling out the machine because I'll give you my scenario, for instance. It's no secret that I do well for myself, especially with several large YouTube channels. But I believe in working hard, and I work hard every day. I don't want investment from other people. I don't want to take from other people. I want to make sure that people are freely choosing to support the show or buying something they truly believe in. I don't like the idea that these people make money tricking you and you get nothing for it. It's why I didn't want to work for the nonprofits anymore. Because 10 years ago, when I worked for the nonprofits, they had me going out telling these stories to convince people to donate to some of the biggest nonprofits in the world. Once I found out that it was all manipulation and high-pressure sales tactics, I thought to myself, am I just selling hopes and dreams and good feelings and giving these people nothing in return? I don't like it. I had one organization tell me outright to lie. They would give us these scripts, and I realized that what they were telling us wasn't true. They said, well, just say it anyway. And I said, no. And the last company I worked for wanted us to use excuses and lies to explain away failing numbers. And I said, no, I won't do it. I went and worked for Fusion. They said, side with the audience, Tim. I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to tell people what's going on. If you don't want to listen to me, fine. So be it. Don't listen to me. I can't do anything about that, but I'm not going to lie. I'm going to try to the best of my ability to make sure you understand what's happening. And I'll tell you what I think's happening. I could be wrong about so much. I often am. I see a machine desperate to protect their bottom line, trying to trick you into giving up your value. How do shorts work? Well, I'm not an expert, again, not a stock guy. But if you want to short something, a narrative helps. Like I mentioned in previous segments about Bitcoin. Bitcoin hit 40K. My personal opinion, again, don't take any advice from me because I'm wildly speculating. I think Bitcoin will hit $1 million. Just because I keep seeing it go up for a variety of reasons. But I could be totally wrong, so not advice. All right. A bunch of stories came out claiming that people were going to lose all of their life savings on Bitcoin. And I laughed. It's insane. And then, of course, Bitcoin dropped by like 10 grand. And everyone started saying, you better sell. This is the top. I said, no, it isn't. I'll buy the dip. And then it went back up to 35. These media reports come out telling you something is bad because they want you to sell. But you only lose money when you sell. If in 2008, most people held on to their investments, they would have recovered in several years and been back to where they were before the crash. But the machine works when they scare you into selling. That brings us to GameStop. It's an easy story to tell. We have a pandemic. It's a brick and mortar shop. Video games are downloaded. It shouldn't be worth money. But that doesn't mean it should actually go down in value. As the Redditors made their bets that when the consoles came out, their revenue was going to go back up and COVID was really hurting them. And that's true. In fact, when PS5 came out, I went to several GameStops looking for PS. I couldn't find it. I wanted to find a PS5. Couldn't find it anywhere. It was gone. It was sold out. It was sold out. Now, COVID hurt everybody. But it's also possible, I'm not saying likely, that GameStop could become the community center for all of these games and all and all this stuff. Maybe when COVID's over or however they do it, I don't know. But I hang out at game shops, at least I used to. Play Magic the Gathering, board games, video games. I grew up doing this. You need a community space. I think that's GameStop's real play. They got the real estate you need to bring people together, and people want to come together and build community. That's something you can't get online. So what GameStop, in my opinion, needs to do is create a physical space for hanging out. Some snacks, some drinks, some arcade machines, so you can actually play the new games that come out. You can hang out. Maybe it's membership based. Maybe it's come in and it's, a couple hours to, you pay, you arcade style, you put a quarter in the machine or whatever, you spend $5, you can play whatever you want. GameStop could literally be a place where there's video game tournaments. I've talked about it before. There's a great opportunity there because they're the only ones, in my opinion, who have a national chain of physical spaces for you to come and hang out. Listen, I don't know if GameStop's going to survive, and I don't think GameStop should be worth $350, but don't take my advice. What if GameStop really does convert these things into community centers for gaming and creates a massive esports physical space industry? Then the stock would be worth more, I'd imagine. What if that leads to the creation of new digital products? There's possibility there. I don't know if GameStop should be as high as it is. The reports I've read say $16, but the shorts had it way below that. And that's the point. They're not the good guys. The media is just trying to lie to you because they're the bad guys. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.